This is a second recording from Chapter 6, the first assignment. This is on 6.3, Factoring by Trial and Error. Number 9 is written here. Number 10, this is by trial and error. To get 21x squared, you're either going to have 21x and 1x, or 7x and 3x. That's the only ways of multiplying together to get 21x squared. Now, your choices of getting the 10, though, are either -2 and -5 or -1 and -10. And you keep slipping those in here until you find the one that will work. It's why we call it trial and error. It's 21x minus 10 and 1x minus 1. But you keep trying different things. It happens to be that minus 10 worked here and minus 1 works here. That's the only way that will work. Because if you keep trying, if you would have tried minus 2 and minus 5 here, it will not work, and so on. So there is a better method found in 6.4. This is called factoring by grouping on the same kind of problems. 13 is written there for you to use, but number 14, 15x squared plus 11x plus 2. What we first do is take the first number, 15, times the last number, 2. Those two times each other are 30. And then we take the second term number, 11, and what we try to find is the two numbers that multiply together to equal 30 and also add up to be 11. It happens to be 6 and 5. 6 times 5 is 30, and 6 plus 5 is 11. So, in other words, instead of the 11x in the middle, we change it to 6x plus 5x from these two numbers. And then we factor by grouping. We take the first two numbers, we find on 15 and 6, 3 goes into both, and x goes into both. So 3x out in front of 5x plus 2. On the second two numbers, nothing goes into them besides 1, so we put plus 1 times 5x plus 2. Then, from the first lesson in this chapter, 5x plus 2 is the common factor, because it's in both of these, so 5x plus 2 is the common factor, times 3x plus 1. Number 15 and 16 doing the same way. First, on number 16, we take 8 times -9 is -72. That's our product. Our sum comes from the middle, -1 in the middle. What two numbers give you -72 and add up to be -1? By multiplying to get -72, adding to get -1. It's -9 and 8. So we change the -1x in the middle to -9x plus 8x. That's still -1x. But now we can factor by grouping. X comes out of the first two, leaving us 8x minus 9. The second two, 1 is our common factor, times 8x minus 9. So 8x minus 9 is the common factor between those two, goes out in front of the x plus 1. And you can check this with FOIL. Same method on 17 and 18. On 18, we take 30 times 3 is 90, and the -23 is the sum in the middle. And it took a little bit of time to find the two numbers that give me 90 that add up to be -23. I had to use both of them as negatives to get the positive product. Negative times negative is positive. Then they had to add up to be the -23. The two numbers were -18 and -5. It took me a little while. But then I put -18x here and -5x. First two, I take out the common factor, 6x times 5x minus 3. The second two, Nothing in common, but we do take out the negative 1 always. So negative 1 times 5x minus 3. Then we see 5x minus 3 is our common factor between the 2 times 6x minus 1. That's 6.4. Very good method for factoring the harder factoring ones. 6.5 is about factoring the difference. It's got to be a minus sign in between two squares, like x squared minus 4. Number 2, x squared minus 36. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 36 is 6. So we put x minus 6 and x plus 6. Minus in one and plus in the other one, because then when we use the FOIL, the middle two terms cancel out, and we have this. Remember, there has to be a minus sign in the middle of the two terms. 81p squared minus 1, then 4. 49m squared minus 1. The square root of the first one, 7m. Square root of the second one, 1. So 7m minus 1, 7m plus 1. Same thing, has to have a minus sign in the middle. Then, number 5 and 6, 49a squared minus 16. Square root of 49a squared is 7a. Square root of 16 is 4. So minus 4 plus 4. Number 8, we have this one, a little bigger number, square root of 169, 13a minus 7b, and 13a plus 7b, as long as there's a minus sign in between. Number 10, square root of a squared b squared, ab, here and here. Square root of 16 minus 4 plus 4. Remember, check with FOIL. Number 11 and 12, now fractions. Square root of y squared, y, here and here. Square root of 1/16, 1/4, and negative 1/4. Number 14, notice our minus sign is first. What I did was turn around and put the minus, put the 1 first. 1 minus 9t squared. Then the square root of 1, 1 here, and 1 here. Square root of 9t squared, minus 3t, plus 3t. 15 and 16, they cannot be factored in this way because you have to have a minus sign in the middle. So they are prime, not factorable. 17 and 18, I turned them around. Y squared minus 1. Then it's y minus 1 and y plus 1. Remember to check them. Then on lesson 6.6, we find we have our questions are already factored, but they're also equal to 0. When they're already factored and equal to 0, this one could be 0 to make it true, or this one could be equal to 0 to make it true, because 0 times whatever this is 0, and so on. So we set each of them equal to 0. X minus 10 equal to 0, so x is 10 when we move the 10 to the other side. X minus 5 is equal to 0. X is 5 when we move the 5 to the other side. Same way on number 4. X plus 4 equal to 0, so x is negative 4. X minus 10 equal to 0, so x is 10. Then, number 5 and 6, we see x plus 11 and x plus 1. We set each of them equal to 0, move the number to the other side, negative 11, negative 1. Number 8 is a little bit different. Our first factor is this x. X is equal to 0. That's one answer. X minus 7 equal to 0. So x equals 7 is our second answer. That concludes the